film begins with a man waking up from a disturbing nightmare. In the dream, a woman hands him a USB drive, and he's shocked to see her killed immediately afterward. As he opens his eyes, he finds himself gasping for breath, drenched in sweat, clearly affected by the nightmare. After calming down and freshening up, we learn that he is in Armenia, and this man is Junior, the protagonist of the story, who's obviously not having the best morning. Junior follows a strict morning routine, one that resembles the discipline of a monk. He exercises, takes a quick shower, and has a modest breakfast in his nearly empty apartment. He leads a very simple life, and all that's missing to complete the scene is a sign reading, "Life of Discipline." As he leaves his apartment, he passes by a neighbor who is arguing with his wife and daughter. However, Junior pays them little attention. He's seen this scene play out so many times that it no longer elicits any reaction from him, even though he notices the woman has a black eye from the abuse. He then heads to his car, an old sedan that still runs, reflecting his modest lifestyle. On the way, he stops at a nearby cafe to grab a coffee before starting his day. With the warm cup in hand, he takes a moment to enjoy it before heading to the auto shop where he works, fixing cars all day. At the workshop, Junior focuses on his work, repairing cars and fine-tuning engines with precision. His boss, Paul, arrives and jokes about whether the coffee is poisoned, but Junior reassures him everything is fine and gets back to work. At the end of the day, Paul asks Junior about his plans for the evening. Junior smiles mysteriously and replies that he'll do what he always does. Paul is concerned but knows there's little he can do. Though Junior's excessive drinking isn't good for him, the choice is his to make. Junior's life is simple and uneventful, much like the lives of many young people today. Hard work during the day and a few nights at the bar to escape reality. But everything changes when one day he notices the woman and her daughter, who were always victims of abuse, sitting peacefully together in a restaurant. Out of curiosity, Junior decides to eat there for the first time and sits close to the little girl, who is drawing Superman in her old notebook. Junior tries to be kind and compliments the girl's talent, sparking a conversation about her favorite hero. The girl excitedly talks about Superman's strength and how her only dream is for him to come one day and save her and her mother, because when parents argue, children imagine a superhero will come to fix everything. At this moment, we see another side of Junior, touched by the girl's enthusiasm. He advises her mother to have faith, assuring her that divine help comes to those who make an effort. It's clear Junior feels an emotional connection to these two women, as they remind him of something from his past, a piece of his story that will unfold later. He gifts the girl a book he had with him, a small token to remind her that resistance and hope have value even in the darkest times. Meanwhile, in India, the noise of a bustling market hides sinister intentions. A criminal group is pursuing a car through the crowds, and inside the car is a businessman named Sharma Rajesh, who is marked for death. Nearby, Harry, a friend of Junior's, plays a melancholic tune on a harmonica, drawing a crowd and earning some money. Close by, a young girl named Jessica and her mother step out of a store. Jessie is excited by the toys and ice cream around her, but suddenly her laughter is interrupted by the sound of gunfire as the criminal group begins executing their violent plan, having identified their target. The scene is truly devastating, with gunfire tearing through the air and hitting civilians, including young Jessica and her mother. Later, the tragic marketplace incident is heavily covered by the media, complete with the necessary dose of drama to keep viewers engaged. Like what often happens on YouTube, the coverage focuses on the innocent lives lost, including the 7-year-old girl, and raises questions about the identity of the mother and daughter and their connection to the violence, garnering public sympathy. As usual, news outlets broadcast the mother's image far and wide, asking for any information about her involvement in the events. Elsewhere, far from the spotlight, the gang held an impromptu funeral for one of their fallen comrades who wasn't lucky enough to survive the confrontation and ended up headed for hell. During the investigation, both the authorities and the crime syndicate uncovered a shocking truth. The mother, who was presumed dead, had actually survived. The injured woman was identified as Samara, Junior's wife, and it was confirmed that the little girl who died was their daughter. The police realized who Junior really was, a former soldier notorious for his brutality. His daughter had been the only thing keeping his violent side in check, and now that he had lost her, everyone feared that Junior would seek revenge with all his might, prompting the authorities to brace for the worst. As the investigation progressed, a suspicious call was traced to Armenia, adding an international dimension to the case. Torn by grief and seeking justice, Junior travels to Armenia, demanding to be sent to India to uncover the truth behind his family's fate. However, he is arrested by the police, and during intense interrogations, he is overwhelmed by sorrow as he recalls better times. His love for Samara, her pregnancy, and his decision to leave the military, a choice that indirectly led him to this current situation, further deepening his pain. On his way to court, Junior seizes an unexpected opportunity to escape, overpowering the guards and vanishing into the city. After all he has endured, Junior reunites with his loyal friend Harry, and together they return to his old home. But what was once a place of happiness now feels like a scene from a low-budget horror movie. There, Junior begins to piece together the puzzle surrounding the attack, realizing that the gang was not responsible for his daughter's death. With Harry's help, Junior uncovers a horrifying truth in a surprising twist. The inspector who was supposed to protect the businessman, Sharma Rajesh, had been bribed. Instead of doing his job, he let things spiral out of control, resulting in Rajesh's death. In a shocking confession, the inspector revealed that everything was corrupted and pointed directly to Hawa Singh as the true mastermind behind the chaos. Armed with this information, Junior had only one thing on his mind: justice. From that moment on, revenge would be his breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When Hawa Singh learned of the inspector's murder, he insisted that the Shiv Puja ceremony continue without interruption, unaware that Junior was on his way. Determined to confront Singh and expose the truth, Junior and Harry infiltrated the ceremony and quickly overpowered Singh's guards in a fierce battle. They cornered Singh amidst the chaos, demanding answers. But Singh only mocked Junior and revealed a startling truth. The real mastermind behind the conspiracy was Edward from Georgia, an arms dealer who had a vendetta against Rajesh and had orchestrated the attack. This revelation, while shocking, wasn't entirely unexpected. Singh explained that Edward's son had fallen in love with an Indian girl who happened to be Rajesh's daughter. The relationship was strictly forbidden, and instead of handling the situation like a reasonable father, Edward decided to kill the girl's father, Rajesh, leading to the entire chain of violent events. Despite the evidence Singh provided to support his claims, Junior, overwhelmed by his sense of justice and desperation to end his painful journey, killed Singh. Consumed by his thirst for revenge, Junior's actions forced the police, already under immense pressure from public opinion, to take drastic measures. They began manipulating the media, painting Junior as a dangerous criminal responsible for the massacre at the Central Market. This narrative quickly took hold, isolating Junior even further. Amid this chaos, Samara returned home to find Junior waiting for her. Their reunion was filled with sorrow and weighed down by the tragic events they had endured. With sadness in his eyes, Junior confessed to Samara that he couldn't stay, a revelation that cut her deeply. She remembered how Jessica had longed for her father's return, but now that hope was overshadowed by the darkness surrounding them. Between tears, Samara pleaded with Junior, echoing a sentiment from Kill Bill, urging him not to leave his enemies alive. She didn't just want him to defeat them, she wanted him to make them beg for mercy. After this emotional moment with Samara, Junior set off for Georgia with his loyal friend Jay, a devoted father to his young daughter Sarah. Jay welcomed Junior into his home, and Sarah quickly formed a bond with Junior, sharing moments of joy before falling asleep. In the calm that followed, Junior confided in Jay about his overwhelming desire for revenge, revealing that Edward was the mastermind behind his family's suffering. Jay, who wasn't naive, warned Junior of the dangers he faced. Edward wasn't just an ordinary man. He was the Darth Vader of the world of arms trafficking and human smuggling, and dealing with him wouldn't be as easy as holding a glass of water with your right hand. In Georgia, Junior began his plan with precision, starting by killing Edward's brother. The best way to draw the villain's attention was by targeting his family. As expected, Edward did not take the news calmly. Filled with rage, he sent his men to exact their revenge in the way they knew best, by destroying the lives of others. Their retaliation was brutal as they kidnapped Jay's daughter, Sarah, in a tit-for-tat response. Despite the escalating risks, Junior embarked on a dangerous mission to confront Edward face-to-face. However, his bold attempt to infiltrate Edward's heavily guarded fortress ended with him being captured. In a tense confrontation, Junior remained resolute despite the enormous pressure he faced. Edward attempts to negotiate, using Sarah as leverage, but Junior had prepared his own plan. He had kidnapped Edward's son Michael, completely changing the dynamics of the standoff and raising the stakes. The situation turned into a tense hostage exchange, with both sides struggling to gain the upper hand. As the story progresses, with 20 minutes left in the film, Junior manages to rescue Sarah, setting off a fierce chase by Edward's men, who pursue them relentlessly to a remote cabin in the desert. After securing Sarah safely in the car, Junior transformed the cabin into a deadly trap, utilizing everything he had learned from the John Wick school. He set up ambushes that took out many of Edward's men. But when Edward himself arrived with the remainder of his crew, Junior stepped out to confront them, driven by his need to protect Sarah and fulfill his promise of revenge. The cabin became a battlefield, with Junior fighting fiercely, using every ounce of his strength and skill. In the end, after a long and brutal fight, Edward found himself begging for his life. But Junior hadn't come all this way to show mercy. Without hesitation, he ended Edward's life using a mechanical drill, completing his violent journey of vengeance. After ensuring Sarah was safe and handing her over to the authorities, Junior chose to stay at the cabin, silently reflecting on the chaos and destruction he had left behind. A chaos that bore the scent of justice. Meanwhile, in India, the media followed Junior's story closely, debating whether he was a ruthless killer or a grieving father who sought justice to the bitter end. From my perspective, I believe he could be both. The authorities believed that Junior, now considered dangerous and guilty, wouldn't dare return to India. However, Samara confidently appeared before the media, asserting that Junior would return, trusting in his unwavering love for their daughter. And like a movie you've seen before but still find thrilling, Junior fearlessly returned to India, unafraid of the accusations or chaos trailing him. His quest for revenge had come at a great cost, leaving behind a trail of violence and destruction. Yet it ignited hope among his followers, just like the drawing of Superman, which carried powerful symbolism throughout the film. Now Junior is ready to face the consequences of his actions, driven by his eternal love for his daughter and the lingering pain that still tears at him. Though the next battle remains uncertain, Junior stands firm, prepared for whatever may come, and thus this gripping story comes to an end.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.